What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Sunday, June 20th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 9-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Dallas Keuchel with a 5% pitching advantage over the Houston Astros. Dallas Keuchel is giving up a .587 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 6 righties here tonight. On top of that, the Astros have only hit 8 of his last 37 pitches. That's a .216 batting average. He's only 7,800 FanDuel salary, and he's 1,000 less on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites. He's projected at 20.3 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score at least 30 fantasy points. He has an ERA of 3.78. His record is 6-1 on the season, pitching an average of 88 pitches per game. Now, he's only averaging 24 fantasy points per game on the season, but he scored 46, 46, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he's been on fire. So I like Dallas Keuchel here versus the Houston Astros. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Anthony Rizzo with a 65% batting advantage over Zach Thomas, a low salary pitcher. Zach Thomas. Anthony Rizzo bats a little bit better versus righty pitchers, batting a .773 OPS versus righties, and Zach Thomas, he pitches 62% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .900 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Thomas yet, and Anthony Rizzo is 3,100 FanDuel salary. He's 2,000 more on DraftKings, projected at 10.6 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 6, and 0 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Anthony Rizzo here versus Zach Thomas. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. Now this guy's eligible at second base, third base, and shortstop on FanDuel. So I like Jonathan Villar with an 11% batting advantage over Patrick Corbin. Jonathan Villar is batting a .628 OPS versus lefties, and Patrick Corbin throws his worst ball versus switch hitters, 18% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .931 OPS versus switch hitters. Now I like this pick because Jonathan Villar is 10 for 21 with a .476 batting average and a 1.074 OPS versus Corbin. He's 3,500 FanDuel salary, and he's 500 more on DraftKings. Jonathan Villar is projected at 11 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 8 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 6, 0, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jonathan Villar here versus Patrick Corbin. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Ke'Bryan Hayes with a 52% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Sam Hentges. Ke'Bryan Hayes is batting 26% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.219 OPS versus lefties, and Sam Hentges, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 26% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.096 OPS versus righties. Ke'Bryan Hayes is $3,500 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,000 more on DraftKings. Projected at 11.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 20, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Ke'Bryan Hayes here versus Sam Hentges.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Marcus Semien with a 15% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Matt Harvey. Marcus Semien is batting a .781 OPS versus righties, and Matt Harvey throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.126 OPS versus righties. Marcus Semien is 1 for 2 with a 1 OPS versus Harvey. He's $3,800 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,500 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 47, 0, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 10 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Marcus Semien here versus Matt Harvey. Okay, let's take a look at the outfield position. I like Mark Canha with a 60% batting advantage over Jordan Montgomery. Mark Canha is batting 14% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .913 OPS versus lefties. And Jordan Montgomery, he pitches his worst ball by far to righty batters, 45% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .799 OPS versus righties. Mark Canha is $3,600 FanDuel salary. He's $1,100 more on DraftKings. Projected at 9.8 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 12, 13, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 9.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Mark Canha here versus Jordan Montgomery. Okay, now if you're looking to save a little bit of salary here, take a look at Jock Peterson with an 80% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Zach Thomas. Jock Peterson is batting 18% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .758 OPS versus righties. And Zach Thomas, he pitches 62% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .900 OPS versus lefties. Jock Peterson, he's only $2,900 FanDuel salary, so I like that price on FanDuel. And he's projected at 11.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 37, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jock Peterson here versus Zach Thomas. And one more outfielder pick for you. This guy's been on fire. Take a look at Bryan Reynolds. He's got a 3% batting advantage over that same low-salary pitcher, Sam Hentges. Bryan Reynolds is batting 8% better versus lefty pitchers, He's batting a .820 OPS versus lefties. And Sam Hentges, he's giving up a .900 OPS versus switch hitters. There's no at-bats versus Hentges yet, and Bryan Reynolds is $3,100 FanDuel salary and the same price on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites, but I love that DraftKings salary. And Bryan Reynolds is projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 29, 25, and 13 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Bryan Reynolds here versus Sam Hentges.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.